The author spent his college years working as a valet at a nice hotel in Los Angeles. One frequent guest was a technology executive. He was a genius, having designed and patented a key component in Wi-Fi routers in his 20s. He had started and sold several companies. He was wildly successful. He also had a relationship with money I describe as a mix of insecurity and childish stupidity. He carried a stack of $100 bills several inches thick. He showed it to everyone who wanted to see it and many who didn't. He bragged openly and loudly about his wealth, often while drunk and always apropos of nothing. One day he handed one of my colleagues several $1,000s of cash and said, "Go to the jewelry store down the street and get me a few $1,000 gold coins." An hour later, gold coins in hand, the tech executive and his buddies gathered around by a dock overlooking the Pacific Ocean. They then proceeded to throw the coins into the sea, skipping them like rocks, cackling as they argued whose went furthest. Just for fun. Days later he shattered a lamp in the hotel's restaurant. A manager told him it was a $500 lamp and he'd have to replace it. "You want $500? The executive asked incredulously, while pulling a brick of cash from his pocket and handing it to the manager. "Here's $5,000. Now get out of my face. And don't ever insult me like that again." One idea from a book or video can change your life destiny. Hello everyone. This is yet another amazing video from Value Creation about money. The Psychology of Money, written by Morgan Housel, is a timeless lesson on wealth, greed and happiness. Let us look at few interesting concepts in this video from the book. You may wonder how long the behavior from the executive could last, and the answer was not long. I learned years later that he went broke. The premise of this book is that doing well with money has a little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave. And behavior is hard to teach, even to really smart people. A genius who loses control of their emotions can be a financial disaster. The opposite is also true. Ordinary folks with no financial education can be wealthy if they have a handful of behavioral skills that have nothing to do with formal measures of intelligence. A genius is the man who can do the average thing when everyone else around him is losing his mind. By Napoleon. Let me tell you about a problem. It might make you feel better about what you do with your money, and less judgmental about what other people do with theirs. People from different generations, raised by different parents who earned different incomes and held different values, in different parts of the world, born into different economies, experiencing different job markets with different incentives and different degrees of luck, learn very different lessons. What seems crazy to you might make sense to me. You know stuff about money that I don't, and vice versa. You go through life with different beliefs, goals, and forecasts than I do. Every decision people make with money is justified by taking the information they have at the moment and plugging it into their unique mental model of how the world works. Why money decisions are so difficult, and why there is so much misbehavior, is to recognize how new this topic is. Money has been around a long time. King Alyattes of Lydia, now part of Turkey, is thought to have created the first official currency in 600 BC. But the modern foundation of money decisions, saving and investing, is based around concepts that are practically infants. Dogs were domesticated 10,000 years ago and still retain some behaviors of their wild ancestors. Yet here we are, with between 20 and 50 years of experience in the modern financial system, hoping to be perfectly acclimated. For a topic that is so influenced by emotion versus fact, this is a problem. And it helps explain why we don't always do what we're supposed to with money. We all do crazy stuff with money because we're all relatively new to this game, and what looks crazy to you might make sense to me. But no one is crazy. We all make decisions based on our own unique experiences that seem to make sense to us in a given moment. Now let me tell you a story about how Bill Gates got rich. Luck and risk are siblings. They are both the reality that every outcome in life is guided by forces other than individual effort. Bill Gates went to one of the only high schools in the world that had a computer. Gates was 13 years old in 1968 when he met classmate Paul Allen, and there were roughly 303 million high school-age people in the world, according to the UN. About 18 million of them lived in the United States. About 270,000 of them lived in Washington state. A little over 100,000 of them lived in the Seattle area. And only about 300 of them attended Lakeside School. Start with 303 million, end with 300. 1 in a million high school age students attended the high school that had the combination of cash and foresight to buy a computer. Bill Gates happened to be one of them. Now let me tell you about Gates' friend Kent Evans. He experienced an equally powerful dose of luck's close sibling, risk. Kent Evans and Bill Gates became best friends in 8th grade. Evans was, by Gates' own account, the best student in the class. After reminiscing on his friendship with Kent, Gates trails off. "We would have kept working together. I'm sure we would have gone to college together." Kent could have been a founding partner of Microsoft with Gates and Allen. But it would never happen. Kent died in a mountaineering accident before he graduated high school. The odds of being killed on a mountain in high school are roughly 1 in a million. Bill Gates experienced 1 in a million luck by ending up at Lakeside. Kent Evans experienced 1 in a million risk by never getting to finish what he and Gates set out to achieve. Luck and risk are both the reality that every outcome in life is guided by forces other than individual effort. They are so similar that you can't believe in one without equally respecting the other. They both happen because the world is too complex to allow 100% of your actions to dictate 100% of your outcomes. They are driven by the same thing: you are one person in a game with 7 billion other people and infinite moving parts. The accidental impact of actions outside of your control can be more consequential than the ones you consciously take. If you give luck and risk their proper respect, you realize that when judging people's financial success, both your own and others, it's never as good or as bad as it seems. Here is how Warren Buffett got rich. More than 2,000 books are dedicated to how Warren Buffett built his fortune. Many of them are wonderful. But few pay enough attention to the simplest fact: Buffett's fortune isn't due to just being a good investor, but being a good investor since he was literally a child. When this book written, Warren Buffett's net worth was $84.5 billion. Of that, $84.2 billion was accumulated after his 50th birthday. $81.5 billion came after he qualified for Social Security, in his mid-60s. Warren Buffett is a phenomenal investor. But you miss a key point if you attach all of his success to investing acumen. The real key to his success is that he's been a phenomenal investor for 3/4 of a century. Had he started investing in his 30s and retired in his 60s, few people would have ever heard of him. His skill is investing, but his secret is time. That's how compounding works. There are a million ways to get wealthy, and plenty of books on how to do so. But there's only one way to stay wealthy: some combination of frugality and paranoia. And that's a topic we don't discuss enough. The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, "I can do whatever I want today." People want to become wealthier to make them happier. Happiness is a complicated subject because everyone's different. But if there's a common denominator in happiness, a universal fuel of joy, it's that people want to control their lives. The ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want, is priceless. It is the highest dividend money pays. Money has many ironies. Here's an important one: wealth is what you don't see. If you see a Ferrari driving around, you might intuitively assume the owner of the car is rich even if you're not paying much attention to them. But as I got to know some of these people, I realized that wasn't always the case. Many were mediocre successes who spent a huge percentage of their paycheck on a car. We tend to judge wealth by what we see because that's the information we have in front of us. We can't see people's bank accounts or brokerage statements. So, we rely on outward appearances to gauge financial success, such as cars, homes, Instagram photos. Modern capitalism makes helping people fake it until they make it a cherished industry. But the truth is that wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is the nice cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, the watches not worn, the clothes foregone, and the first-class upgrade declined. When most people say they want to be a millionaire, what they might actually mean is, "I'd like to spend $1 million." and that is literally the opposite of being a millionaire. Investor Bill Mann once wrote, "There is no faster way to feel rich than to spend lots of money on really nice things. But the way to be rich is to spend money you have, and to not spend money you don't have." It's really that simple. The world is filled with people who look modest, but are actually wealthy, and people who look rich who live at the razor's edge of insolvency. Keep this in mind when quickly judging others' success and setting your own goals. Here are some key points to worth remember. Go out of your way to find humility when things are going right, and forgiveness, compassion when they go wrong. Less ego, more wealth. No matter how much you earn, you will never build wealth unless you can put a lid on how much fun you can have with your money right now today. Manage your money in a way that helps you sleep at night. If you want to do better as an investor, the single most powerful thing you can do is increase your time horizon. Time is the most powerful force in investing. It makes little things grow big and big mistakes fade away. Become okay with a lot of things going wrong. You can be wrong half the time and still make a fortune, because a small minority of things account for the majority of outcomes. Use money to gain control over your time, because not having control of your time is such a powerful and universal drag on happiness. Controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. Reputation is invaluable. Freedom and independence are invaluable. Family and friends are invaluable. Being loved by those who you want to love you is invaluable. Happiness is invaluable. The best way to learn is to teach someone. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe this YouTube channel for more informative videos in the future.